Yeah, so I definitely miss the food, and we were talking a little earlier, like, I don't know, I just miss my open fields. Like, I grew up in a small town, we had a lot of, like, just fields and woods, and, like, to see that, it just calms me down a little bit and brings you back down to earth, because you realize you're a lot smaller than you actually are. Welcome back to Adventures from the Home Front. I'm Olivia, this is Kate, Amanda, and Jessica. Today we decided that our topic for the day is going to be about moving away from our hometowns and our families for the first time. So I come from a very small town in Pennsylvania where I had a very great family base, loved all my aunts and uncles, my cousins were like my second family. So for me, moving away was pretty hard. But you, Kate?
It was pretty hard under different circumstances. I'm from North Carolina, and it's Camden, and I think I said before, it's a tiny little, town. 42 people is my graduating class, so that's everybody knows everybody. But my husband and I, we were together in high school, and then right after high school, we decided to move in together. And so I think that's the first time I ever moved away, and I think let's see here, it's like, around my birthday is when I moved, so I guess a small little birthday present to me. So.
Yes.
What about you, Amanda?
Very first time I moved away, had to have been, it was like 12 years ago. I actually moved here to Virginia. I'm from a small town in North Carolina, well, small-ish, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And, the crime rate and everything had gotten really, really bad there. And, it's just one of those things where if you were going to, like, grow, you kind of needed to get out and do it. So, I packed my bags. I didn't even have a job here yet or anything. I jumped in the car.
Wow.
Drove straight here with a girl that I went to high school with. And the very night, we got an apartment. I went and found a job. I worked over at Kings Mill Resort and Spa over in Williamsburg. And then I ended up meeting my now husband like a month later in Newport News, and the rest is history.
You were brave. That was a lot of guts. Like, no job, just like, I'm going to go for it.
Yep.
You're a go-getter.
Yep.
So the first time I moved out of the house, I didn't move too far. I just moved kind of down the road a little bit with my husband. And I was 21, I believe, when I moved out for the first time. And so it is kind of like testing the waters, I guess you would say. Like, I still had my family like really close, but we found a roommate and we moved into this cute little apartment. So it was like, okay, time to flap your wings a little bit, like get a little bit of freedom and independence, and that was good. And I learned what real life was like and out in the world. And then the first time that I moved away from home was when my husband decided to join the Navy. And he left for boot camp, and then 8 weeks later we packed up and drove our little Scion XB across the country, all the way from California to Charleston, South Carolina. So that took us about 7 days with all of our possessions and our little dog, and it was fun. Like, it was a fun trip. But
were you nervous? Were you like, oh my God, what is the East Coast about?
No, I was excited. Well, because it wasn't our first time like out of the house. Like, we were older. Like, we were 27 and 26, and so we'd kind of like been on our own for a while, like supporting ourselves. So that part didn't scare us. It was just like, oh, this is a new adventure. Like, let's go discover this new town and new city, and it was really fun.
Well, see, it's crazy because like all three of us, you know, our husbands are nukes, so we all went to Charleston.
Yeah.
So we kind of like
See,
all.
but I didn't live in
that's right, you
Charleston
didn't live
because
in
we weren't
Charleston.
married yet.
Yes.
So he stayed in the. I just went and visited all weekend. Drove my little Fiesta down for 12 hours at a time.
Yeah.
So this is my first like real station with him, real time like moving away from home, and it's crazy.
You know what's crazy though is that for the Coast Guard to get Charleston is like
You've made it.
hard. Like, it is
Beautiful.
It is
Yes.
one of the hardest places to get in the Coast Guard. You basically like have to go to Bahrain or something for a year to get that place.
Yeah,
So we
I
have
wanna
tried so many times. Like,
Well, I did want to go back, and then I met all you girls, and we started the show, and now I'm like,
I know.
maybe we should stay in Virginia for a short duty. I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't mind driving to Charleston a couple
yeah,
That's true.
that
It's
would
not
be
that
a
far.
great excuse.
Yeah.
For me though, whenever we first found out that we were being stationed to Charleston, for both of us, we were like, we've never really left our little hometowns.
Yeah.
Like we haven't explored the world. Like I've been to Myrtle Beach because I have family down there, but Charleston, no. So we were like, all right, let's jump on this bandwagon and go.
Yeah, it's
we were
exciting.
excited.
Yes.
So, what's the thing that you guys like? Do you guys get to go back and see family very often? Do you guys plan
I'm
trips,
lucky.
go visit?
I've
or-
been home a lot since because we went home for Thanksgiving. We moved here in August, went home for Thanksgiving, and then I went home for New Year's, and I'm actually going back at the end of this week. So it's a 5.5 hour drive. It's not too bad. I'm used to driving a bajillion hours, especially with being everywhere before we got married. So I'm like, it's nice to have like a couple weekend trips home, and I definitely feel blessed. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with the rest of this year.
That's the perfect distance.
It is.
It's
That's
like so
you
nice.
can go when you want, but you don't have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then
Yes.
my family can come down and visit me, and like the summer, like everybody's coming down for a beach week.
Yeah.
Even though we're like 40 minutes from the beach. But yeah, it's like the perfect distance because it's not too far that
Yeah.
we're like feeling lost,
Right.
and there's not a time difference, but it definitely is.
We drove down to Pennsylvania at the end of January, and it's a gorgeous drive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
My
we were a little jealous.
Yeah. We have a ton of family that lives up in the Pittsburgh area, so we really love making that drive. So it's really pretty.
You see the fields and the cows, and you know you're home.
Oh man.
What about you guys?
We do. I mean, I have a very big family. Like my parents divorced when I was really young, and so then I got to really great step parents, and so my family was very big. So I guess we don't really go home per se for holidays and stuff really, but someone's always getting married, somebody's always having a baby, somebody's you know, like those big life moments,
Yeah.
like we always travel for. Like I was brought up, my dad always brought me up saying, you don't ever miss a wedding, you don't ever miss a funeral, you don't ever miss any of those things, and that's just what we've kind of lived by. So we're always making it home for something like that. You know?
Awesome.
That's cool.
Sweet. What about you?
No, we don't go home.
That's a little far with two babies.
Literally as far across the country as you can get. So back when my husband was in school, when he was in his A school, and it was just me, or even after we had our first son, he didn't have any time off, so he couldn't go. But there was a couple times that I was able to get away. One plane ticket is a lot cheaper than 2 or 3, and my son still could fly for free. So there was a couple times we were able to go back home. Everybody's really been really good about coming to see us. I would say like at least once a year, if not every other year. We have like kind of a rotating door of like my parents, his parents, you know, coming to see us. And then the only trip that we've taken as a family was when my husband came home from deployment, and he actually he got to be part of the flyback crew. So I don't know if you guys know what that is, but when the ship pulls in, they have to have enough people there, because everybody usually takes leave as soon as the ship pulls in, and they have to have enough people on the ship to like crew the ship and make sure that you know they're standing their watches and everything like that. So he got to fly home 3 weeks before the ship pulled into port, and I knew about it, but we didn't tell his mom. She didn't know. She thought he was coming home like a month later, and so he flew in. We had a week to ourselves, just our little family together, and then we got on an airplane and flew to Cali and surprised her at work one day, and my brother-in-law filmed
That
it.
is awesome.
And she was just sitting at her desk, and we walked in, and she like looked up, and then she went back to, and then she like did a double take and was like, oh my gosh. And so that was really like a very cool memory that we have, like of going
that's
home
really
and getting to surprise her like that, because I don't think that happens very often.
Right.
And then we celebrated. We went back to Disneyland, our kind of like our little place, and we took our son for the first time. So that was fun.
That is awesome.
But no, we don't go back as much as I'd like to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's so expensive. You know,
Yeah.
when we were in Hawaii, it was a 14-hour plane trip, and for us to come back, it was, you know, anywhere between like $2,000 and $3,000,
Yeah.
you know, just to get to the side. And, you know, we were, you know, we had to come back for family issues a couple of times, but other than that, you know, we lived in a spot where we kind of told people like, hey,
You
come see
can
us.
Make
It's
it a
Hawaii. So we were lucky. We had, you know, some family members come out and see us there, which was great. But yeah.
See, we got lucky getting stationed here because so in Charleston we had to drive at least 6.5 hours or have family, you know, drive 6.5 hours plus. But since we moved to Norfolk, most of our family is in Virginia, and then my parents and his parents are in North Carolina, and it's about an 1.5-hour drive.
That's
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so
Wow.
we see them quite often.
And
which
now
is
that you
really
have
nice.
the baby,
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
they're like, don't ever move away.
Stay for forever.
Stay for forever.
But it's been a real joy. It's definitely nice. There are times where I'm just like, all right, I need a little bit of space, but I think that's with, you know, everyone.
Oh, that's any
yeah.
family.
Yeah.
But it's nice because they're here and they, you know, I was pregnant when we moved here, so they're being able to watch our son grow up, which is the biggest thing for them. So yeah.
Cool.
Yes. Cool. So, I know. What is some things that you girls miss about your hometowns? I know we're on the same page here. So,
Look at her shirt, and that'll tell you everything. I miss the food.
all
the food.
Yeah. The Italian food we had back home, just the little mom pop shops, they don't have those. Like pizza here. I'm sorry, it's not pizza, guys. Cardboard with some sauce. Yeah. So I definitely miss the food, and we were talking a little earlier, like. I don't know, I just miss my open fields. Like,
Yeah.
I grew up in a small town. We had a lot of, like, just fields and woods, and, like, to see that,
Yeah.
it just calms me down a little bit and brings you back down to earth, because you realize you're a lot smaller than you actually are. So it's, like, my things, I go home and, like, my grandfather has a farm, and I just, like, walk out in the pasture and go see my horse, and, like, I just get to, like, kind of relax and not...
Tell everybody that again. You have a what?
I have a horse back home.
Oh my God.
She's a beautiful paint quarter horse with one blue eye and one brown, and she is the biggest stinker butt in the world, but is like my whole heart. So I definitely miss the farm.
I
I'm
can
sure
understand.
you.
I can understand that. It's definitely the open fields for me. I mean, just that peace and quiet. You know, getting away from the world, the stress. But definitely not the food though. They just. I think it was maybe like 2 years ago, they just put up their first fast food restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
So
wow.
I think you have to drive either like 30 minutes to Elizabeth City, where they have maybe like a few
Yeah.
few restaurants.
Oh yeah, that's a
or you
tiny
have
town
to,
too.
Yes, or you have to drive all the way to Virginia, which is like another 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's the open fields. And now that I've been with my husband, his parents have a farm of their own. So I'm always excited because I get pictures of like the baby goats and all the pigs. So, which my son is being spoiled at the moment. He has his own pig, which I believe its name is Autumn. And then has his own little goat.
Oh my gosh.
So it like
That is so sweet.
That is
and
so
then
cool.
we just
When are we coming to the farm?
I'll ask them.
So we're really nice.
We're taking a bench from the home front on the road, guys.
Yes.
Oh man, well I was so excited to get Virginia because it like brought me back closer to like the type of food down here. Because you know we've been in
Everywhere.
Buffalo, New York, Minnesota, like Hawaii, all these places, and I was just like, oh my God. I was like, come on God, please just put me like within 30 minutes of a Bojangles and I will be a happy little girl. Just bring me Bojangles.
And see, I didn't even know what Bojangles was until we moved to the South.
Oh
Yes.
man, that in my very first job when I was in high school, I worked for this cheesesteak place. It was called Andy's Cheesesteak, which now I believe they're called like Highway 66 or something like
Yes,
that.
I think so.
But when they were Andy's, it was like, oh my God, their cheesesteaks were just like awesome, and they had these chicken plates and everything. I was just like,
Yes, I remember because I would have their burgers all the time.
yes, girl, that was my very first job in Nashville. But oh my God, I just loved their food. And I think the closest one from here is still like over an hour or something like
It's
that.
actually in Elizabeth City.
Oh, really?
Yes, there is one. So I think it's like an hour away.
I
We're
think
gonna
they're
go.
planning a
Okay.
trip.
We're going. I need another cheesesteak. It's been forever. So I'm just happy to be by the food again. Chicken and biscuits and seasoned fries. Like, yes, yes, yes.
So besides family, apart from family, I would say I miss three things. Number one, the food. I firmly believe that Mexican food does not exist outside of California. And if anybody's looking for Cali-style Mexican food in Hampton Roads area, I've tried almost everything. And the closest that I found is called Los Burritos in Chesapeake off of Greenbrier Parkway. So check it out if you're craving Cali-style Mexican food. It's not quite the same, but it gets you, it satisfies the craving enough.
Is it like a fast food? Like, do you go in and come right out, or is it sit down?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Chipotle. Like I call it like an
Gotcha.
in-between. It's not
Yeah.
quite fast food, but it's not a sit-down restaurant. But you kind of go up and you tell them what you want on every, and it's like right in front of you. It's like kind of,
Maybe I'll have to stop on my
yourself.
way home.
yeah. I think you
I might
should.
stop.
Yes. And then the weather. I don't think you can really beat California weather. It's pretty much 70 degrees and
dreary when I
sunshine.
was there, but that's okay.
No, forget it.
It
was like
of course
the one time you go.
I was like, I had to bring the sunshine, but there wasn't any.
Yeah. Well, usually it's nice
Yeah.
and sunny. And then just growing up in Southern California, people come from all over the world to experience kind of the tourist things that we have, like all the amusement parks and the beaches and the just all that fun stuff. So I miss that, but
Yeah.
I like it out here too. I didn't think I would, but it's growing on me.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, I don't know, does anybody have any advice for people who are thinking about,
I
Leave
think
the nest,
one
or-
thing I've learned is that FaceTime is like life when it comes to your family.
Oh yeah.
Like right as we moved, the Apple released all like the group FaceTimes.
Yeah.
So between my mom, my sister, my cousins, like we get on there and there's like 6 of us on a call at a time. Half of us are not like actually paying attention. But it's just nice. You kind of get to like feel like you're back in where you're growing up, but at the same time, it's not so hard to get there. If that makes sense.
Mom, don't listen. My mom can be like, your friend gets on FaceTime with her family. She calls all the time because she wants to see the boys, and I'm just like, I don't want to be on. I haven't showered yet. Can you just text me or
Oh, I
call me
tell
on the
her.
phone?
I'm like, hey mom, I'm gonna go do something. I love you. I'll call you later. You're not paying attention to me right now.
Aww.
I think besides, making sure you stay in contact with family and friends, for me, which I found out was great whenever we moved to Charleston for the first time, was like have everything with a positive attitude and
Yeah.
look for like resources.
Right.
So as soon as I moved down there, I don't know what it is for other military branches, but Fleet and Family actually kind of became a saving grace down there. So, because just myself was able to go in, talk to them. They would basically tell us about like what our husbands are going to be doing, somewhat of their schedules. So that's kind of nice. It kind of like ease some of that like worry and. But yeah, so don't know what other branches, spouse support groups are called, but Fleet and Family is definitely something to look into.
The Coast Guard's great because each location has a Facebook like spouses page. So there's a couple of like main Coast Guard Facebook groups that you can join, and there's thousands of members on. And a lot of times once you get orders, you post up there and you're like, hey, I got orders to Norfolk, blah blah blah. They're like, oh, join this group, and they'll tag you in it. You join, and before you know it, you have like people that you're getting ready to meet, and all kinds of information on best places to either rent or buy, or they're just full of awesome information. And I think that would be my best tip of advice is once you get those orders, go in there and start making those connections. So
For sure.
yeah.
I think I agree with Kate. I think it's all about the attitude that you go into it with. So if you get orders, even if it's something you're not too excited about, and you go into it and saying, you know what, I'm going to take this as an adventure. I'm going to, this is going to be something fun for us to do that we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do if we didn't have orders here, and just have a very positive attitude. And the second thing I would say is if it's your first time moving away from home, or first military move ever, I would definitely recommend moving into military housing that's offered on base, only because it's going to be, number one, it's going to be close to work for your husband, so commuting time is going to be great. But number two, everybody else in the community is going through the same thing that you are. They're all military spouses. They all have husbands who work a lot, and a lot of them are new to military life too. So you can kind of already have a built-in support system in your neighborhood, and everybody kind of watches out for each other. And if you have a question, you kind of have a whole bunch of people around you who you can go to.
Absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree.
Alrighty, well I think that's it for us today. Thank you guys for watching. So we do have a couple other videos on our channel talking about marriages, our weddings, little things like that. And there is more to come. We are going to be uploading every Monday, and then we're doing Feature Friday. So Friday's our first feature video. We're super excited.
Yeah.
So we want you guys to like this video if you enjoyed watching and hearing about our stories moving away from home. Please subscribe to our channel. We do, again, post videos twice a week. And make sure you hit the bell so that you get notified when we post a video. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.